Women don't want to sleep with other men when they love a man.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, and disgusting animals.
But then she wants you to treat her like an equal, and I'm like, that's not how this works.
I openly say I don't give a fuck.
Art is one of humanity's greatest tools of catharsis. For many, it's the most easily accessible emotional outlet, whether it's listening to music, watching a film, or even walking through a museum. Turning to art for answers about the confusion within allows us to escape into another world and massage those emotional sore spots that may not be safe or healthy to express fully in the world, which is probably why female rage media feels so good. Today, we're discussing female rage and its representation in Hollywood. What is it? Why women love it, and what makes it different than male rage. For centuries, the patriarchal social structures of the Western world have demanded that women shrink and suppress, weaponizing any emotions we express, or using our biological functions to describe our most human moments as hysterical. Irony is not lost upon women like me who tried to restrain for years just to watch men of all ages assault the world with their unfiltered emotions. And then, if you decide you're done restraining, you just get branded a series of misogynistic slurs for vocalizing the most basic disagreement. But you can't clap back, oh no, because as a woman, you also bear the burden of taking the higher road. Consciously or unconsciously, women exhibit an instinctive swallowing of pride to alleviate tension or diffuse a situation, which means there's a lot of pent-up rage in every single woman alive. So when female rage presents itself in modern storytelling, the response is electric. Women love it, crave it, and go so far as to praise it. Now don't be fooled. This is not the same as men worshipping the Joker. This is something deeper, a sense of yearning that invigorates us once satisfied. Because the reality is, our rage is not welcome anywhere else. It's important to note that most of the research I found focusing on gender and emotions is restricted to the binaries of cis men and cis women. Today, we celebrate and respect a much larger spectrum of gender, so I want to acknowledge that how the world perceives you and your emotions is not solely based on the male-female gender divide. Race, class, sexuality, ethnicity, even the clothes you choose on any given day will impact how your emotions are interpreted. But generally, the story goes as follows. Men are punished for expressing soft emotions like sadness or uncertainty, and women are therefore punished for hard emotions, anger, confidence, even lust. If men are the straight hard lines, women are the soft flowing curves, and their emotions should follow suit. Anytime you stray from the status quo, you're ultimately going to be punished. This isn't theoretical. A study from Psychology Science sought to prove the hypothesis that women in professional settings are punished for their anger, while men are rewarded for it. Time and time again, results showed that women who exhibited anger were deemed off-putting and unreliable, even punished with lower salaries or inferior job titles. Meanwhile, the men were consistently rewarded for their anger. You've likely seen examples of this whether you know it or not. When Tyra Banks yells at a girl, it makes her laughable, dramatic, and disappointing. When Chappell Rowan yells at paparazzi, it's shocking and disarming. She's either a warrior or an ungrateful celebrity, depending on how you feel about women yelling back at men screaming commands at you just to snap a photo of your dress. Swap the gender though, and the story changes. Try criticizing Travis Kelce for yelling at his coach on the field. You're likely to receive pushback saying it's the language of the sport. It's an indicator of passion. It proves he loves the game. Browse the comments on a video of Justin Bieber yelling at the paparazzi, and you'll see thousands of fans defending his position. Watch the President of the United States scold a journalist by calling her piggy and then face zero repercussions. Anyone raised in a patriarchal society will have this inherent bias in them. I know I do. My whole life, I've been called anything from bossy to for pushing back when something didn't sit right with me. I've criticized myself for being too loud and too aggressive. I've been told, you'd make a good lawyer, which, if you don't know, translates to, you're too intense for a girl. In a culture where something as simple as color has gender ties, it's willfully ignorant to dismiss the relationship between our emotional life and our identity expression. This doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of racial background, sexuality, class, relationship status, political alignment, etc. For women, every single detail detail of who we are impacts our relationship to anger. For a single 30-year-old woman who gets irritated at the growing cost of being a bridesmaid, her financial frustration is overlooked and she instead becomes the bitter single friend who's jealous everyone's getting married.
Engagement party, bridal shower, bachelorette trip. It's a trip now, did you hear? PTO requested, hotel rooms paid for. On top of all of this, now I have to get you a fucking stand mixer. I spent all my flight points on you.
I know that violence is not the answer, but yes, it is.
For a queer woman who snaps at a homophobic family member, she's not defending her existence, she's crazy and lost in a lifestyle. For a black woman who calls out racist prejudice as it happens, she's not standing up for an injustice, she's a stereotype come to life. For myself, being an opinionated teenager who snapped when boys acted nastily got me labeled a feminazi. Right. Acknowledging just how severely emotions are tied to gender is essential in understanding female rage in media and the way viewers respond to it. Women are drawn to these stories, feel empowered by them. How do we explain the euphoric, pleasurable rush of female rage when most of the time that rage lives next to trauma? You know that feeling you get on New Year's Day after you've spent 2 weeks indulging with your family, probably drinking or eating a little more than usual? It's like a desperate animalistic need to be cleansed, to flush everything out, cold plunge closer to God, hell if you could, to rake the inside of your body and scrape everything out of your guts. That feeling? That's sort of how I imagine female rage works in women.
Okay, received.
David Fincher's Gone Girl, based on the novel by Gillian Flynn, is a perfect case study for the pleasure of female rage. The story of Amy and Nick Dunn is told in a very he said, she said sort of way. Bouncing between point of views, each person tries to outplay the other despite being physically separated for most of the film. It's a thriller that shocks you for the first time and only grows more exciting when you rewatch it. The premise of Gone Girl is a murder mystery. Nick Dunn is under suspicion after his wife Amy goes missing. They looked like a perfect couple who stood together in the best of times and the worst. But when we're given insight into the reality of their marriage, we see all the cracks. All the pain and patronization and casual cruelty led Amy to do something dramatic. My first time watching Gone Girl, I remember the exact moment I realized what was going on. A slow smile crept across my face, and I remember thinking, good for her! It happens about halfway through the film, where Amy's point of view takes over, and you start to learn about her plot to frame Nick for murder and send him to death row. This is the point where Amy's villainy starts to feel good. A sort of transcendence happens. You're more than a viewer, less than a character, both aware of how evil she is and also feeling vindicated by every step she takes. At this pivotal twist, we also get the cool girl monologue, where Amy describes the painful, humiliating, but instinctive process of transforming yourself into whatever version of a person a man will like best. Cool girl likes what he likes and puts him first. And of course, cool girl never gets angry at her man. Amy is not unhinged or prone to sudden outbursts. She's eerily contained, calculating, and vindictive. This film portrays rage as most women experience it. There's no room for us to yell or fight or scream, so instead we stuff it down, swallow arguments we know will get us nowhere. Even if we know our anger is righteous, we also know it's dangerous. Like, life-threateningly dangerous. Snap at the wrong man and you could seriously end up dead. Dangerous. It has become a common thesis that female self-destruction is anger which doesn't know how to express itself. It's also true that expressing anger is, for a woman, to risk attracting actual material violence. Many of us assume well-practiced expressions of impassivity while being harassed because shouting back or even rolling our eyes invites the possibility of a physical escalation. Amy's situation mirrors a very typical situation where a woman becomes an accessory to her husband, a vessel to fulfill his fantasies and desires, her own personhood minimized for the sake of him. Gone Girl simply asks, what happens if she's had enough? And while her rage manifests itself in real action, it doesn't look like rage. It's conniving, intelligent behavior. It's villainous, but what's so wrong about a villainous woman? Film bros around the world loudly proclaim how they resonate with stories like Fight Club. The Joker is a villain that dudes praise on a sliding scale of media literacy. From the sane, he's a great villain, to the insane, he's low-key my hero and I get him. Ugh. Men misunderstood the Dune novel so badly that Frank Herbert wrote a sequel with the single intention of making sure you knew Paul Atreides was not a hero.
Don't trust leaders to always be right. Our society was formed on a distrust for government. We seem to have lost that distrust of government.
Have you ever read Mein Kampf?
Yeah, a couple times.
Couple times? Are there Easter eggs in there you didn't get the first time?
Audiences do not just celebrate male villains, they exalt them. But the minute I say Amy Dunn was kind of goated for framing her husband for murder, I'm the problem. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. I use Gone Girl as one example because Amy Dunn has earned good for her praise since this movie debuted. Women embraced her faults pretty quickly, much to the discomfort of the men sitting beside them on the couch. However, there are plenty of characters who have become vessels for women to purge themselves of unexpressed rage. Pearl, Don't Worry Darling, Fences, Promising Young Woman. These films all explore different textures of female rage. Hell, it doesn't even have to be a female character at this point. Aaron Burr in Hamilton is one of the greatest examples of female rage I've ever known. He speaks to my soul in ways I cannot express. It's the flavor of brewing, stewing, and simmering in silence while trying to present a really good, positive face to the world until one day, you snap. Snapping in the real world, though, has very damaging effects on our livelihood. So, we turn to art that embraces angry, violent women, allowing us to escape into a world where the consequences of our rage are explored freely in ways a lot of men cannot seem to fathom. While women consume female rage with glee, they do so without deifying the characters or mirroring their behavior. Probably once a day, there is a man out there watching American Psycho for the first time. He witnesses the incredible performance from Christian Bale, soaks up every plot point, and then interprets the heavily satirized story as a biblical parable. And I don't want to be rude, but this is a female rage video, so I'm already gonna get comments calling me an evil woman. So, fuck it, we ball. This American Psycho phenomenon happens because men are dumb. Art is subjective. Yes. Your experience is valid. Yes. But American Psycho has always been, and will always be, ha-ha, isn't Patrick Bateman such a pathetic man? Let's watch in horror as he kills people to satiate his love for consumerism. Loving the character is different than trying to emulate the character. The difference between male and female rage in media is that male rage, when consumed by men, often becomes a behavior model. Real men absorb tiny bits of villainous characters, taking them into their daily lives. Women don't see fictional female rage and then cosplay it in their workplace. We rely on the art to fulfill our darker desires. Earlier, I mentioned the term catharsis, a term that originated in Aristotle's Poetics, one of the oldest texts we have about dramatic theory. He defines catharsis as the purging or cleansing of emotions, which happens when a viewer sees a performer embody tragedy on stage. It's not just feeling seen, it's a deeper unburdening of oneself. Whether I'm scrolling through TikTok fan edits, or listening to a song which hones in on a deep fire in my core, or sitting through a 2-hour film like Gone Girl, it doesn't matter. Seeing a woman express rage feels somewhat rapturous because I know that this is my chance to feel this. I'm not sitting here saying that it's unfair that boys get to be angry and girls only have to be sad, so we should rebel and get angry. I'm actually saying that most of the time, for everyone, anger is better fed by fiction than performed in real life. Now, with the state of the world being what it is, this has a heavy asterisk around it. Anger today is an emotion that makes sense. If you're angry about, well, everything, yeah, me too. So long as you turn that anger into action, I encourage you to feel the anger. However, anger can be a very all-consuming emotion. Overindulge in it, and you get a society that looks like the one we live in. Algorithms fed by rage bait, negative reactions to everything, morality contests, toxic masculinity, Christian nationalism, white supremacy, and the general way that everything is. And as women, we have a lot to rage about on any given day, and we're asked to suppress it or rise above it. And we often do. The women's Olympic hockey team appearing on SNL to respond with humor and grace to the blatant sexism of their male counterparts, for example, is suppressing and rising above. It would have made sense for these women to react in pure anger, but I guarantee the women's team would have been heavily criticized for having an over-emotional reaction to what was a funny meme, a joke, and locker room talk. The wives on The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives being frustrated when their husbands or the men in their lives try to come in and usurp their success, their money, their fame. They have to swallow the instinct to say, go get your own job, find your own interest, and stop clout chasing on my coattails. Instead, they invite them in. They make fun of them a bit, but ultimately they let them sort of do whatever they want because, especially in their religious context, the women have to rise above. And these men have been told that they earn priesthood at 12 years old. These men believe they have a sort of right to anything, and their anger is often validated when they feel they've been rejected or dismissed or have been overlooked as the leader of the household. Meanwhile, these women have all become the breadwinners in their family units and have given their husbands access to something that they never would have been able to achieve alone, because I guarantee no one cares what these men have to say. The only reason anyone's paying you any attention is because we're interested in the insight you give us into your wives' lives. And even still, these women show up, give these men grace, and allow them to join in on the fun. In our culture, there is nowhere for a woman's rage to go. We have no choice but to find outlets. Music that speaks to an ancestral longing for equality. Films that captivate the fury we feel towards the men who violate us. Stories that let us get ugly. Finding catharsis through these works isn't just thrilling, it's essential. Our rage should be satisfied. We should be allowed to express our anger. But since we're usually the victims of the rage others feel, we know how painful it can be. So we feed the beast through fiction. And if you're not a woman, you'd better hope it stays that way. Because an angry woman is a dangerous weapon. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you get notified every single time I post. And make sure to give the video a thumbs up. If you're a big fan of female rage, leave a comment down below what some of your favorite female rage performances are, because we all could be consuming more female rage. We all have a lot to be angry about, and you can only watch Gone Girl so many times. If you want to see more of what I'm doing, you can follow me over on Instagram, TikTok, Letterboxd. I am posting over there all the time. I want to say a massive, massive thank you to anyone who is new to this channel. If you have never met me before, my name is Taylor. I make content about the creation and the consumption of art and entertainment. It's really fun what we do here. We get silly, we get serious, it's a little bit of everything. Okay, love you, bye!